All right. Look at the timer. When you see the timer, say on the air. You're on the air, okay?
Mm-hmm. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mick's World with my special guest, Virginia. Today's topic is going to be a little bit of everything, as I like to call it. So, how are you tonight, Virginia?
I'm doing just fine. And, you know, I'm really honored to be on your radio show. Thank you so much for inviting me. This is really an exciting moment. I really appreciate being a guest on your show.
Besides, well, actually, I'll tell people how we met. We met through Veterans One Stop, the Veterans One Stop program, and a group that we both belong to. I've had the. I'm trying to think of the word I'm looking for. I've had the pleasure of spending time at the Buffalo Zoo and down in Pennsylvania for an elk photo shoot with Virginia. So we get to, and we get a chance to chit chat once in a while. So Virginia, what are you into?
What am I into? I'm into a lot of things, but I think mostly I'm into wellness. That has been something that I've been involved in from the early days in the late 80s at Buffalo State College when they had the first wellness program before it became a major. I was one of the directors. So wellness, holistic health, things of that nature is something I'm really into. I meditate. I can tell the difference if I don't meditate every day. That's how much I'm into meditating. So I'm into that. I also am a evidential psychic medium. So if anybody wants to call in with any questions, whatever, I'll do my best to answer them. And I can answer questions as far as holistic health goes as well. We're in 2023, and I'm still involved in the and it's still a movement. It still hasn't really been. It's more so than what it used to be, but it still has not been adopted all the way as it should be, I think, in my opinion, as far as the American Medical Association goes. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
We still tend to be a pill society.
And especially the VA hasn't even doesn't even want to talk about holistic medicine with you.
Well, you know, they have started with the new director at the Buffalo VA. Okay, this is what I do know. With the new director at the Buffalo VA, they now offer massage, but we only have one masseuse, so you can only get in like once every 4 months, which really isn't enough.
And I've literally got a hold of my primary care provider and asked them about that. And you know what I was told? I was told that if you're not being followed by the chiropractor or physical therapy, they cannot put a request in for it.
So you know what I would do if I were you? Because I did go to see the chiropractor. I would just tell my provider that I would like to see the chiropractor. And then
Is it still Dr. Dunn?
I don't even know. All I know is that I went to the chiropractor. I was seeing a chiropractor twice a week on the outside, and my insurance company wouldn't pay for it anymore. So I went to the VA, and then I went a few times to the chiropractor there. And then my provider at the Women's Wellness Clinic put in for me to get a massage, and I go once every 4 months.
You know, they also do acupuncture at the VA hospital.
Yes, they do, but it's only for pain. It's not for PTSD or anything like that, which we all know that acupuncture does help with PTSD. It's proven.
Yeah, I was getting it for unknown back pain, and it was really surprising on where they were where the doctor was putting the needles for that.
Now, did you get the acupuncture at the VA, or
Yeah.
was it, oh, did you?
Yeah, I got the acupuncture at the VA, and it was really surprising where the acupuncturist was putting the needles.
Really? Why?
You would figure that I would be laying on my chest and he would be putting them in my back. But he wasn't doing that. He was putting them in my ear.
Yes.
Because according to him, I asked him about it one day. I was just, curiosity was ready to kill the cat anyway. I asked him, why do you put it in the ear? And he said, because the ear is designed so it looks like an upside down fetus.
Interesting.
And there's a lot of nerves in the ear that connect to the back.
Now, I got acupuncture years ago when I, in one of my many trips to Alaska. I've been to Alaska many times. And I would get acupuncture in Alaska. But I also had been going to an acupuncture in the town of Tonawanda. I have not been to the one at the VA, even though I did have an appointment the one time around Christmas time, and then they canceled it, and I never followed through.
He's the guy's really good. He's real friendly. We while he was putting the needles in my ear, we were talking about knives and stuff like that because he was into collecting knives.
Interesting. So do you collect knives? Oh, interesting. So you two were put together and you discussed knives as well as acupuncture.
Yeah, it's like when I meet with Dr. Conboy, sometimes we talk about hunting.
Nice. Okay. Nice.
And he hunts too, so makes it fun.
Wonderful. So I never followed through with the acupuncturist at the VA. However, I do know that this might be interesting for any veterans that are watching that are afflicted with PTSD. PTSD can be treated with acupuncture, and the acupuncturist that works in the town of Tonawanda on Delaware Avenue, or Elmwood Avenue, I believe it is, he will use acupuncture to treat PTSD, but at the VA they only deal with pain.
Yeah, he's only there to deal with the pain, but it's really nice. He's a really nice gentleman. He'll sit there. He'll talk you through the whole procedure.
Nice.
And everything in it. You would figure it would hurt when he was putting the needles in, but it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
I made a joke with him that he must have stock in the alcohol company because he uses a lot of rubbing alcohol.
Well, yeah, to make sure that it's sterile. Absolutely,
But there's also like if you think about it, we don't. There's not very many doctors that will talk holistic medicine with you at VA or anywhere.
Anywhere, I think it would be fair to say anywhere. Because the whole American Medical Association is in bed with Big Pharma, as we know. So they're into prescribing medications, and that doesn't deal with the symptoms. Whereas holistic principles is that you go to, they have a radical approach. Now, radical, what that word means is to the root. So your natural healings and your modalities go to the root of the problem, and they actually deal with the symptoms, where in a way that doesn't cause more symptoms, because we all have heard about side effects. All you have to do is watch a commercial on TV and you hear about side effects to medications. Everything you put in your body has a reaction. And medicine is good food, as the indigenous people say. And by the way, I would like to make a salute to the indigenous that, we are on stolen land. That's all I have to say on that. But truly, not many doctors will talk about holistic health because it's not something they know about. They're not trained in it, so therefore they don't want to discuss it.
So to jump off the subject for a second and get back and get to the elk pictures. Did any of your elk pictures turn out?
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, my elk pictures came out very, very small, like off in the distance, like I knew they would because I didn't have the proper equipment. I was going to buy a camera just for our adventure, because that's what it was, our adventure to Pennsylvania for the elk pictures, but I decided to do something else with that money that I had earmarked for the photography. So I still want to buy a a new camera for that.
Like, what kind of camera are you looking at?
Well, basically, I'm taking cues from Robert Miller, our fearless leader at the Veterans One Stop Center, who's leading us in this whole thing as far as photography goes, except he had been sick. That's why he didn't come with us to the elk thing. He was having surgery. But he told me that to start, I should get what's it called? A stop and shoot camera?
Point and shoot?
Point and shoot, that's it. I should get a point and shoot camera, and that would be really easier. So what is this now? Your comments and questionnaires are appreciated. Stacy, oh, what do we have here? Stacy! Oh, my goodness. What do we got? Yes, Stacy, one of the topics are alternative medicine, but we're talking about all kinds of things. We're leaving it open, but if you would like to ask some questions about alternative medicine, and if you want to talk about alternative medicine in terms of addiction, we can even do that if you'd like. Because there are things that can be used to help the populations that are addicted.
That's my friend Carrie.
Okay.
I will, what, like, are you, I know for a fact, Carrie, that you're into the, you're not into point and shoots, you're into the, lens and body. So I'm going to say probably start out with I would say probably start out with either a Nikon or a Canon. Yes, you can call in, Stacy. The number is 716-400-0738. And you will be on the air talking with us. But getting back to Carrie's question, I would say probably, depending on your desire, if you like Nikon, if you like Canon, if you like Sony, whatever you like, that would be start out with one of their basic cameras, because actually Nikon makes a really nice point and shoot that is like bigger bodied, and they also make like the DSLRs, and I can actually get you more information later on. So if you want, I can give you a call later about that. But back to what you were talking about, getting a point and shoot. My suggestion would be get one that has a nice zoom to it. Most of the
Something about there's a number 40. There was a number 40 that was.
Yeah, it's a 40 times zoom.
It was a 40 that was that Bob Miller told me that was on the point and shoot, and he said that should be enough for it to start.
Yeah, because there's like, okay, with the 40 time megapixel zoom, you're gonna get a zoom of a certain distance with them. Like like the one camera I'm looking at getting for myself is a Nikon, it's called a Nikon Coolpix, and that will give me a 3,000 millimeter zoom.
Nice.
But most of them will give you anywheres. It depends on what you want. But you could go to like, you can find them at Best Buy, you can find them at Walmart, you can find them at Target, any really place.
Is that Stacy?
We'll find out in a second. Welcome to Mick's World. How can we help you?
Hi there, this is Stacy Schwab. Hi, Virginia.
Oh, it's Stacy. What a darling. It is so good to. I haven't heard that voice in way too long. Way too long.
It's been a long time.
Since we've spoken in person, but we have communicated, so which is always a good thing. That
Absolutely.
And it's always a pleasure to hear from you.
And you as well. I'm always very interested to hear whatever you have to say, regardless of the topic. It's always good.
Oh,
it always
thank
feeds
you.
my soul. Absolutely.
Thank you, Stacy. So do you have any questions?
Well, I guess more than questions, I have I've had some recent experience myself with alternate forms of medication. And it's taken me a long time to have the courage to be, I'm an open book, but that comes slowly for me. It's taken me 12 years to put all the pieces out there. And I do that because a human connection is truly the biggest part of my foundation for my own personal recovery.
There you go. Okay.
So I share my story so openly because I really thrive on human connection,
Okay.
and I know that about myself. And I've been blessed with some tremendous results. And the safer I feel, the more I'm able to. Stigma and shame and stigma are still out there, and they're alive in so many aspects of life. And I hid under the fear of shame and stigma for so long, and I suffered and I struggled. And when I came to recovery 12 years ago, I was greeted with one option, and that option was the straight up God-driven 12 steps, and with complete abstinence. And I was made to believe and feel as though I was very unlovable unless I could obtain that. Nobody wanted to be near me until I could obtain that. In the past probably 5 years, I was introduced to a new approach called harm reduction, and harm reduction is nothing new. It was just new for me.
Mm-hmm. That's true. It's nothing new.
No, it's not. But for me, I had never been exposed to it, and so I go out of my way to expose as many people as possible as I can to it today, because I truly believe harm reduction would have saved me years of torture, living the way that I was living, because I had been about 7 years abstinent, but completely free from substances. But I was lonely, angry, sad, miserable, jealous. I isolated.
So harm reduction turned that all around for you? Is that what you're saying?
Well, harm reduction let me know that I could try other things, and that was when I was introduced to the concept of microdosing with psilocybin.
Okay.
And I started to do that. You know what, Virginia? I was at a desperate place with my clinical depression, that I was willing to try everything. And the gold standard of all these prescription medications that were being fed to me were doing nothing.
They won't work. They don't work for everybody. Now, in terms of addiction and alternative health, okay, there are all kinds of options available to people nowadays.
Yes.
I know people. Okay, now I just like to say for the rest of our audience that Stacy knows me because I used to be a counselor. I'm 66 years old and I'm semi-retired. I used to be a school teacher too, so I'm semi-retired. So that's why we're having this. That's why we're having.
And
this
I also
conversation.
consider you somewhat of a mentor.
Oh, you're so sweet. So
well, I do.
Well, I'd be honored to be your mentor because you're such an outstanding individual, going to Albany and whatever, and working to help people that are stuck in places that only nightmares reign. But so there's all types of different avenues available now that you can buy yourself. Like there's, I do know people now. First of all, everything I say, I am not saying don't go see a doctor. Go see a doctor. I have to make that medical disclaimer because I no longer.
Right, I'm not a doctor.
Because I no longer have a counseling license. I am retired from counseling. So, but people can go on Hurdle Avenue, for example, and get keratin. They can go to all different types of places and they can get psychedelics. And I am not saying that this is what I know. Everybody's different. So what works for Stacy might not work for Joey, okay? And
absolutely.
What works for Joey might not work for Glenn. So Glenn, those 12 steps may work for him perfectly, but Glenn may run into somebody that the 12 steps don't work for, okay? And
I still support the 12 steps 100%. They saved my life. They gave me shelter from the storm. It's a big part of by no means do I criticize or condemn that. What I came to believe in was respecting everybody's path to their recovery.
Right, but this is what I do know now. 99.9% of all people that are addicted, that are clinically diagnosed with that diagnosis, have experienced some sort of trauma in their life. So it stands to reason, in my opinion, this is just my personal opinion, I'm not a doctor, in my personal opinion, that if you treat trauma, you're going to treat addiction. So
Absolutely.
So I do know that if acupuncture works for PTSD, it's going to work for different types of trauma. Don't you think, Mick, that would probably work?
Absolutely.
That it would probably work for that too.
You know, something you just said finally hit home about some of the groups, and I'll leave it at that, because some of the groups I attend, and you know where I'm talking about, always circle back onto a specific subject, and I've noticed that, and it's like, and then what you just said just finally
the respecting
registered.
all.
Finally connected some dots for you.
Yeah, it finally
That's because Stacey called.
explained why. No, it finally explained why, like, in the one group, they're always circling back to, well, CBT. Let's be blunt.
Right.
Cognitive behavioral therapy. They're always circling back to CBT. Every group that I've attended seems like they always jump back to that. And it's like,
And the reason being is because CBT is a known treatment for trauma. And it is and the research is in that it shows that it's effective. That if people practice CBT, which is very hard to do at all times, let's face it, because you're talking about thoughts. But when we talk about anything to do with holistic nature, let's get to the spiritual realm, because that's all part of our being. Okay, so in our spiritual realm, all right, everything we do begins with what? A thought. Our emotions begin with a thought. Our behaviors begin with a thought. So CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, is about changing our thoughts. And so is holistic health, about changing our thoughts. We can govern our emotions by our thoughts. It's hard to do, but we can do it.
but that, like I said, but when you guys were talking, that finally connected point A and point B, because
I'm glad.
I had been making comments to people that within the program.
Within the VA, yes.
Yeah, and then I've been making comments to them that I didn't understand why everything has to circle back to CBT or DBT or whatever they want to call it.
DBT is like CBT on steroids, yes.
Yeah, but you know, I couldn't put two and two together. Why are we, like, for example, why is an anger management group talking about circling back to CBT?
Because CBT is known to work, and addiction is a symptom of PTSD, which everybody knows.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
which takes us back to trauma again with addiction. So Stacy can really speak to PTSD because of her life in addiction. Because it began with the trauma. Now, whether or not Stacy knows what that trauma is neither here nor there. It really doesn't matter.
Oh, sure. Catholic hospital forced me to give birth to a baby that wasn't. I always say this: how do you get a woman to rip her body apart? Promise her a baby. How do you destroy a woman's soul? Force her to give birth to a baby that's dead already. And that's what happened to me. And then from there, they didn't let me hold him or even acknowledge him, and I carried that weight for 20-some years.
Yes.
And I looked for every way I could to self-medicate. And that's where the medicating part comes in. There was something wrong in my brain. Some of us who struggle with depression, it's circumstantial, and a medication isn't going to help that. But when there's a true chemical imbalance, I needed... It is a guessing game with medications, and the deeper I went into it, and the less results I was getting, an accurate diagnosis was key for me too.
Well, that is always with anyone, and what happens in the mental health field, because of the insurance insurance companies that run this country, because of that, they are more apt to give you a diagnosis that isn't your diagnosis, but will allow you to attend therapy as long as you can to resolve your issue. So a lot of people are misdiagnosed all the time.
Absolutely.
In the mental health field.
I make this comment to a lot of people. I believe that, like, they use bipolar disorder and they say it's a chemical imbalance in your brain. So why don't they get a bunch of people, like, I don't know, like get a bunch of volunteers that are diagnosed with bipolar disorder, take their blood, like I said, take their blood, and then break it down to the molecular structure of our bodies and find out, like, for example, like say they take my blood and they take your blood. We're both diagnosed with bipolar, but they need to find out where or what chemical people with bipolar are missing.
You know why they don't want to do that? And this is just in my opinion. This is completely my opinion. Money. They don't want to get us well because
right.
Big Pharma would be out of a job.
That's right.
Yeah, come on. Big Pharma wants to keep us.
We live in a capitalistic society that is very real.
Yeah, but you also have to look
they want to keep us sick. Are you kidding me? They love keeping us sick because they make money.
Okay,
but then you also have to
Nick.
look at it this way. If they find out, like, okay, in my case, if they find out what chemical that is imbalanced, they can prescribe that chemical.
Yeah, they could.
And then it could help start making things better. Because we all know, for example, mental health is you're never gonna get better with a mental health condition. Because there's always gonna be something that changes. Like I was told by a counselor on several times. The only thing you can ever hope for as having bipolar is you ride a roller coaster as a bipolar. You get your highs and then you get your lows.
Yes.
So the only thing you can ever hope for is maybe you're going to hit that high, hit that low, and then hit a straight track with little dips. Like little dips ups and ups and downs.
Right.
But then it's like, how can you give somebody a diagnosis? And I've had it happen to me. How can you give somebody a diagnosis by sitting there and just talking to them for, like, in a group setting?
That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I said.
Or a 45-minute evaluation.
So a lot of people are misdiagnosed every day, not only in America, but across the world because of insurance companies to help people stay in therapy. We live in a capitalistic society, so let's not get angry about that. Let's just accept it for the purpose of this discussion in this radio show right now. But how can I help you, Stacy, today? How can I answer a question for you today? Because there are a lot of things that people that can look to holistic health for trauma, addiction. They can look to essential oils. They can look to scents. They can look to meditation. I find meditation very helpful for me. I can tell when I don't meditate. If I don't meditate, my day goes a certain way. If I do meditate, it's going to go another way. Some people meditate at night. I meditate with my morning devotions every day. So have you got a question that I can help you with?
Well, you know what? I don't know. I guess I'll just throw it out there. I always have the same question.
Okay.
Are my people proud? Can they see what I'm doing? Are they really there? Are they really with me all the time?
Stacy. You are always surrounded by people that love you. You are never alone.
People on the other side I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're saying. You're talking to the medium now. So you, Stacy, none of us are ever alone. And people that love you and people that know what you've been through in your life have always been very proud of you. Always. And they're even more proud of you now every day of your life and how you step out and you save lives. You are not the Grim Reaper. You are the exact opposite. You are the angel of life. And the people that love you see that with you in every day of your life. And there is a woman that surrounds you, that is with you all the time. And she's not your mother, she's your grandmother.
Yeah.
And she wants you to know that she's very proud of you. And she remembers when you were a little girl and you used to love to swing. And she wants me to talk to you about swinging in the swing. And she says that sometimes you're just swinging so high that you don't even see how high you are. And she says, and she also wants you to know that there's no stopping you, that you can take this political activity of yours and everything else that you're doing for people and saving lives, and you can take it to the top. That don't let not having an education stop you. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, Stacy.
I love you.
I love you too, Stacy. And Stacy, you can call me anytime. My phone number's published. I'd love to hear
have
from
it.
you, and I'd love to go for
Okay.
tea or coffee with you soon. Okay?
I'd love that as well. Yep. Thank you for your show. Thank you for having me.
We love you, Stacy.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, Stacy.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye, love. All right, Mick, what's next? That was an emotional phone call, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Now your friend Carrie, she has something up there. She says that when her husband had dementia, she says, I was coping by buying stuff thinking it would make me happy. Well, of course, yeah. Wasn't easy, but I'm no longer miss retail therapy. What an accomplishment. So Carrie, is she still with us? So Carrie, to help her feel better, got involved with a shopping addiction. It is so common. And it's not just women that do a shopping addiction. Gabor Mate, are you familiar with him, Mick? He's a world-renowned. Yes, Carrie. I'm talking about Dr. Gabor Mate. And he's world-renowned in addiction. And his addiction, are you ready for this? Was buying CDs of classical music. And that's how he became this world-renowned figure in addiction. And you stopped your addiction all by yourself. So it wasn't easy. So Carrie, you want to call in and talk about how you stopped yourself, or you want to give us some of the listeners some tips on how you were able to stop your shopping addiction? That might be helpful. No? It's hard to type and answer questions at the same time, but it takes a lot of courage to identify a problem.
I'm not even gonna stop. I'm not even gonna say what's on my mind. Not even gonna say it.
Okay, but it's very difficult to solve a problem. But the hardest step in solving any problem is properly identifying it. So it's really hard to come to terms that you're doing something harmful to yourself, like miss retail therapy, And with as with Stacy, there were other things that stopped her. But is Carrie still with her husband?
No, he passed away.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Her husband had dementia. Rewriting your brain.
Rewiring your brain.
Okay, all right.
That's my roommate.
That's your roommate. So what does she want to know about that?
No, I moved out of my house in Kenmore and moved to Newville. Yeah, to the racetrack. That's a personal joke, but yeah. I can actually talk on that rewiring your brain.
Go
because
right ahead, please.
I've been dealing with some other issues.
Neuroplasticity.
Yeah, I've been dealing with some issues that brought me to
the VA.
To the VA
program.
Thing,
yeah.
Program. And one of the things that Ange has helped me with is she gave me some YouTube videos to listen to when I sleep. Subliminal messaging. I call it brain food. Because it helps. Because I've actually noticed since I've been listening to them that my issues have been dwindling. Not totally under control, but they've been dwindling. And there's a lot of different things that go on. And it's hard because everybody's.
Somebody's calling?
Hello?
Figured I would call in and help out your program.
Hi, Carrie.
Oh, it's Carrie. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so Carrie, it says here that you wrote down, I don't have the room for the stuff here, and it wasn't making me happy. So that was the catalyst that you moved? Is that
It was
how
a
you...
number. It was a number of things that caused me to realize that all of this stuff I just didn't need. And the house I had in Kenmore was roughly 2,100 square feet. This one's only 1,100 square feet. And once I made this house into a home, I realized how little I really did need. And that all of that other stuff was just weighing me down.
So you became a minimalist in a matter of speaking, correct?
Fairly pretty much.
Good.
Compared to what I used to have to what I have now, I would say that it's about 75% less of what I used to have.
75% less?
Yes, you can ask Mick. He's been here.
Yeah. What do you so what do you got to say about that, Mick? She's got 75% less?
There's been times where the 2 times I've been at her house for different occasions, the first time she had just gotten out of the hospital. And things weren't going really well. She ended up having to go back in the hospital for issues. And then the second time I was there, everything was like, I'll be honest, she's got a nautical theme in her house.
She has what?
A nautical theme.
Oh, okay.
Not thing.
Oh,
thing.
like beachy?
Yes.
Okay, beachy. Okay.
And it's very much now understated. It no longer looks like lighthouses threw up all over the place. It no longer looks like, I mean, my old house, it was disgusting how much stuff I had. And now it is very calm, very mellow, very serene. I also had a professional organizer come in to help me, which was a huge help.
Okay.
And even now for my Christmas decorations that I've got up, it is very minimal. I did not go stupid with it.
Okay.
Yeah, because your personal organizer would have hung you.
Well, listen, we get help wherever it comes, don't we? Right? Right? So that works for you.
I am much more happy with the lesser of the items that I have. It makes life a whole lot simpler. And thank God Amazon doesn't know me by name anymore.
Yet.
Oh, Carrie, you have a sense of humor. I love it. But this is what I know too. There's always more than one reason for us moving into a certain direction. It's never just one thing. Whereas one thing might be the catalyst, right, Mick? We might have a catalyst, but there's usually other factors that are involved. And then of course, Carrie, we have the question: what came first, the chicken or the egg? So what came first, your husband's dementia or your shopping therapy? Is it something you always had a propensity for, or maybe not? I'm just wondering. That's all.
Well, the shopping was always a problem to begin with, and I was always buying things, thinking it was going to make me happy. But it doesn't make me happy. It just ends up creating more debt, more aggravation. I have pretty much what I need now. There's very little that I'm like scratching my head and asking myself, gee, I wish I had that. Most of the stuff that I had in Kenmore, I don't miss. I'm not reaching for it. I'm not grabbing for it.
Uh-huh.
And my house is clean. It's organized. It's serene. I can have people over at a moment's notice now, and it's not a problem.
Nice.
I'm not scrambling for days to make my house look presentable.
So you took your life back, basically.
I did.
Yeah, you took your life back. Congratulations. That is not a small feat, right, Mick? That is not. No, that's not a small feat.
No, it's not.
And I am much happier with what I'm doing with my life now.
So Mick,
and
so Mick, now
I'm actually looking to join a gym.
Really?
I actually want to improve on myself. Yes.
That'll help.
Actually, her talking about the gym, I had talked with the people at the group, and I've gotten clearance to use the gym at the
At the
building.
VA. At the VA. Wonderful. Wonderful.
I just have to talk with the one nurse and sign some paperwork.
Well, you know, exercise not only helps with depression and things of that nature, but also helps with just your, you know, like your body, your physical body, and the firing in your brain, the dopamine in your brain. It helps with all of that.
My
Well,
biggest. Go on.
that's part of the reason why I'm going after going to the gym, because I'm looking for that endorphin rush.
Oh.
There's other things that I do that give me that, but I can't depend on that all the time. And at least going to the gym is a safer, better option for me, as far as that's concerned.
Cool. And then you have a buddy here named Mick that'll even exercise with you. Yeah.
That would be fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. It'll be fun to watch. Mick, did you hear what she said?
Yeah, I heard what she said.
All right.
I'll be paying for that comment later.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're down to like 18 minutes, so if anybody wants to jump on, you're more than welcome to comment and call in when Carrie's done, and we'll just continue rolling on. I just was given the 18 minutes.
Well, and Angela, you want to talk about what she's these messages she's been leaving? Can everybody see what she's leaving, or do we need to repeat them?
It can be seen if you're watching it, but it's like time. Wait, it's the time of people self-healing and ascending. People are. What was that?
Somebody hung up, I think. I think Carrie hung up.
Oh wait, no, that's somebody trying to call in, probably.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Oh, hang on. Yes, Ange.
Hi.
Hi.
See, she's calling
you
in now
doing,
too.
Andrea?
Do good, good.
I'm doing good.
Hi, Angela. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
Good. Mick was just reading your statements because I wanted to make sure that everybody could see them because they're very interesting.
Yeah. I've noticed lately a lot of people are waking up. They're starting to do their self-improvement, self-healing. They're starting to ascend. They're starting to pay attention to how they're feeling inside and how they're showing up in the world and doing the work.
Yes, and you know, we've come to this time of year where a lot of people make the mistake of making New Year's resolutions, which really just sets you up to fail. Okay, that's all they
Yeah.
do. It's always so much wiser to set intentions because they're fluid. They can move and groove with you, and so people have said the same thing that you've said, that there are more people like waking up, becoming enlightened, so to speak, and looking at to themselves and how they can improve their lives and taking responsibility for their lives. Because we can't improve our lives until we start to take responsibility for where we are, you know. And
Exactly.
and there's no shame being where you are. There really isn't. No, there's no shame whatsoever, and so you have noticed that people are looking inward, so to speak. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And also, like you said, taking responsibility for their own actions and how they're showing up instead of just blaming everybody else. Oh, well, it's their problem or it's their fault, or they're starting to see, oh, wait a minute, I'm having a part in this too here. I should probably work on that.
Well, it's really kind of interesting, because if we really think about it, if we really want to take a deep breath and think about it and not blame anybody for anything that's going on, but to take responsibility. We can look at everybody in the world and say that everybody's doing the best they can with the knowledge, with the experience, and with the foresight of what is happening with them, and that everybody's doing the best they can. I remember years ago, I suggested to a patient of mine that was having a hard time coming to terms with, forgiving her parents, and she said that's something she wanted to do. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be discussing it. And I suggested that which is a known trick in therapy, is that you envision your parents as a 6-year-old child. And believe it or not, that has helped so many people to learn to get on the road to forgiving somebody else for transgressions, their parents, especially their parents or whatever. But our parents only do the best they can. Whether we want to admit that or not, they can only do the best they can with the information they had at the time. And that goes along with anybody in the world.
Right. People can only show up from where they are.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And children don't come with manuals, as my one friend is always prone to say. She always says that to her daughter, because her daughter had a rough go of it because she was a young single mother, and they had their challenges. And she always says to her daughter, she says, "Listen, you didn't come with the manual." And she did the best she could. So, and sometimes when we do the best we can, we hurt other people.
Honestly, I think they should start issuing instruction manuals with kids.
Well, I think that's a good idea. I think that's a very good idea.
Yeah.
I think we should have parenting classes in our public school system. I said that 30 years ago as an educator. I agree with you 100%, Mick. 100%.
But I think on top of that is a lot of times the issues are coming from their own childhood wounds. So I think before even parenting classes, they would need to go to some, therapy and work on that and try to figure out where that came from and heal that before they start taking care of somebody else.
Yeah, well, that's, that is a very idealistic way to look at procreation.
Yeah.
It's not really.
I know.
It's really
I know.
very idealistic.
Yeah.
Children are going to continue to be having children.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But ideally, it would be people who are ready for it.
Ideally, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And we have Carrie here who says, my mother was never happy, and she let her unhappiness spill over into her parenting. This is what happens.
Yeah.
But and with Carrie making this comment, it points to, she was unhappy, but she was doing the best she could at the time. Maybe as the years went on, maybe Carrie's mother was able to get a little bit more happier. I can only hope, right? I only hope. Only Carrie has the answer to that question. Mick, do you have the answer to that question? Do you know Carrie's mother? No.
No.
Yeah.
But
I know that same with my mother. She was she had a lot of unhappiness in her life, and as she got older, we would have philosophical discussions about stuff like that, and I would ask her questions about my childhood, and she would say that I didn't know any better. My mother didn't raise me in an affectionate, caring, loving way, and I just didn't know how to do that.
yeah, but your mom also had a really great statement that she would use on people that aggravated her.
Yeah, but that's not really appropriate right now.
Oh, we can't say what that is right now? Okay.
Her statement literally came down to the long and short of it, when she would tell people to snap out of their retardation.
Wow. Oh, okay.
And it's like there's a lot of actual knowledge in that conversation, in that part of that conversation, because out of that you have really I've dealt with it. I know Ange has dealt with it, and I'm sure you've dealt with people who could use and I'll use the term easily, a good hard Gibbs slap in the back of the head. And anybody who's watched NCIS knows what I'm talking about.
I don't watch TV.
Well,
I don't know.
and it's just, we all have our stuff we deal with. We all have our stuff we deal with. But after a certain point, we have to say, okay, and this has been drilled in my head by numerous people, and one of them's on the phone with us actually, is get rid of the toxic people. Remove the toxicity from your life and things will get better.
Yes.
Now, if we could do that with food and a few other things.
Right.
Yeah.
Food can be very toxic.
Yep. And
Take
anything
sugar,
can
for
be.
example.
Hey, we can't talk about sugar. That's one of my favorites.
We can't talk about sugar. Okay, well, it's Mick's show. We're not talking about sugar. Okay.
But I will, I'll make a joke. I'll make this out as a joke because it is. I made a joke with my doctor. I said, I'm addicted to Cheez-Its. And his response was, okay, we're going to have to send you to rehab and detox you on Cheetos. You got to love when your doctor can make jokes with you.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. The indigenous have a saying, laughter is good medicine. And it is good medicine. It is.
It's the best. Yeah.
It is good medicine. And, so you love Cheetos?
Cheez-Its.
Cheez-Its. Oh, those are those little crackers, right? Those little cheese crackers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the little holes in them. They got the little holes in them.
They got little tiny holes, but
Yeah. Yeah.
no comment about how many boxes I've thrown out.
Yeah.
Empty boxes, I should say, that I've thrown out.
So now, you're talking about removing toxic from your life, and toxic people could be one of them. Now, I'm reading up here what Carrie said. I stopped talking to her the last 15 months of her life. She stopped talking to her mother the last 15 months of her life. Sometimes we just have to do that. Sometimes we have to remove toxic people. And just because someone is in your family does not mean that you have to keep them close.
Exactly. Yeah. Family doesn't
No
mean
comment.
that somebody gets to abuse
Mick
you.
is saying no comment again. We're really getting to all these, Angela. We're getting to all these no comment things from Mick over here. He's
No,
looking.
she knows. She knows.
I know what the comments would be, so.
She knows what the comment would be, and she knows why I'm saying no comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's every time. How do I say this? Every time I go, I deal with an issue. It's like trying to get. I literally feel like I take a step forward, or I take 3 steps forward and 10 steps back. And I'll use the example.
You're doing cha-chas. Go ahead.
No, I'm trying to think. I was at a session with the intern for my counselor, and he did something that really upset me.
The intern did.
Yeah.
They have a tendency of doing that.
He
Go
did
ahead.
something that really upset me, and I was ready to just, end the session and walk out the door.
Ooh, you know how to do that too.
Oh, believe me, I'm a master at that game.
Yes, you do. You are. He knows how to do that well.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't let me just walk out. He let me take the time that I needed to cool down, and then he started. He let me take the time to cool down, and then he started asking me questions on what triggered me, what fired me up, and everything. But you can ask Ange. I came home and I was freaking devastated because I thought that I had spent. Well, you seen me at group. I was going 3 weeks in a row. I went there. I was going there every day for 3 straight weeks. Every session, every group that I had on my calendar, I was going to. And I felt like blowing up on that guy literally kicked me, literally kicked me and made me feel like I lost
Oh,
all the progress that I made.
oh my gosh, that's
And
not
then
good.
I just had a recent episode
That is not
where
good.
you can, and Ange will tell you, I was upstairs in my room bawling
Oh,
because I thought I did something that was in a way negative, and then I was gone. My mind was just gone.
the worst person that you could ever be mad at, Mick, is who? Yourself.
Well, I have more
Yeah.
more conversations with myself than I have with most people.
Well, that's good. That's good because you know what?
Yeah.
Because the more conversations you have with yourself, right? The more in tune you are to who you are and what you're about, and what makes you tick and what makes you get angry.
Let's look at it this way. And we both know what the 10th floor at the VA hospital.
Oh yeah.
There was a individual up there. I went to see him because as everybody knows that you're the best judge of what
Behavioral health. That's what the 10th
Yeah,
floor is about.
well,
To our viewers.
everybody knows what works for them and what's not working for them. I walked into his office and I said I would like to have my medications altered, raised up a little bit. And he looked at me and he goes, "Is that reason blah blah blah?" And it just literally pissed me off. Because he had no right to look at me and ask me that. And it wasn't because of that. I know how my body reacts.
Yeah, it's your body, you know. It's your body, you know. So
And they don't, and doctors don't understand that.
some doctors don't, but it sounds like you have a good doctor at the VA.
Yeah.
The little
I have a
short
couple
guy.
good.
Yeah.
I have a
The
couple
little
good
short
ones.
guy. Little short guy,
Yeah.
right, Nick?
And by the way, I did tell him that he's got to clean out that chair. And he said maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. Yeah. A lot of times doctors think that they know better than you about your body, and you have to just be
This is
firm
what-
with them, set your boundaries, and let them know that that you're not going to go along with that.
Like
That's
the one,
right, Angela.
like for example, that one time at the ER that you were there with me, and they told me I was being admitted, and then that the floor staff or whatever came in and they were like, "Do you know why you're here?" And I said, "Well, I was told that I'm being admitted." And the lady looked at me and goes, "Well, you don't have to stay if you don't want to." And she continuously repeated it until somebody told her to get out of the room. And it was close to the point because Ange was sitting in the chair with me, or in the room, in the room with me, and she kept repeating, and it was to the point I could see it in Ange's face that she was going to get up and hit her. And Ange is not violent.
Good thing you're not violent, Angela. Well, yeah, I'm
no,
sorry
I'm
you
not a
had that
violent
experience,
person, but
Mick.
she
I'm
was
sorry you
pushing
had
her
that
luck.
negative experience. I'm really sorry about that.
And I'll be blunt about the reason I was in there. I was at a fire scene because I was a volunteer fire. I was at a fire scene. My blood pressure was up. I was having a hard time breathing because we were breathing
Anxiety.
in
You were having
a
anxiety.
lot of smoke in.
Smoke and
And
anxiety.
they said they were going to keep me because my blood pressure was still elevated. And she comes in and she's like, "Well, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, "Oh, lady, please." But we're down to the last minute and 45 seconds. So
Well, thank you for all our callers. Thank you.
Yes, thank you everybody who called in, everybody who
everyone that
commented.
participated. Thank you so much.
I'll
This has
talk with
been
you when I
vivid.
get home, Ange,
This has been vivid.
All right.
and say byes.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Stacy.
Okay, so we're going to just do that. I'm going to do what I normally do. I'm going to say, be safe, be strong, and see ya.